Wisdom Notes, Dealing with Problems. Hello, you all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, I'm using my webcam to do this video, and as I said in my previous video, normally I do them with my iPhone, and it's just easier and more convenient, and I can move around with it. But when you use a camera, you can't move around as freely. And so I am doing this with the webcam, and you'll have to let me know if you like it better than my 1 minute scripted wisdom notes. And usually in my 1 minute scripted wisdom notes, I share one particular topic that happens to be on my mind, or I'm thinking about, or I wrote down. Whereas in the longer videos, which is what this is, it's sharing a combination of my daily wisdom notes. Now, I don't come on here every day. I come on here every so often, and I write down my notes as they come to me. I could be out on my 5-mile run, and I record them, and then I come home and I write them in a notebook, and later they're transferred to the computer. And I keep track of all of my notes. It's funny because so often people will say, you're just like the medium. She hears dead people, you hear wisdom. And wisdom seems to flow through me. My insights, my daily insights come to me each and every day. And so I just share them. That's all I do. I share what I get, and I like to do that. So anyhow, and I also do what I call speed wisdom. And speed wisdom is my insights. I just go from one to the other kind of rapidly, kind of like speed dating. And so I share them as they come, and they're not in order, and they're not necessarily about one particular subject matter. Today's subject matter is more about dealing with problems and how to deal effectively with problems from how I deal with them and my perspective. Everything that I talk about on here is from my perspective. And so I got to thinking about problems. And I remember this man who lived to be just about 100 years old. And he told me once, he said, you know, I let everybody else solve their own problems. I have my own problems to solve so they can solve theirs. And he wasn't being uncaring or unthoughtful. He was just stating how he felt. And you know, he lived to be around 100. He did not take on unnecessary problems or problems that were not his to take on. And most other people's problems are not ours to take on. There are some situations that problems we are meant to take on, but in most cases, I believe that most problems are not assigned to us to take on. And we have enough of our own in life, and we have to deal effectively with those problems. And so that was one perspective. And I got to thinking about how people try to put a Band-Aid on a major problem. And Band-Aids rarely work, at least not for any given amount of time. Sometimes you use a Band-Aid for a temporary measure, but that's usually all it is a temporary measure. Band-Aids are great for minor issues. Why do a major surgery on a minor issue when you don't need to? That's kind of what they call overdoing it. You don't need to do that. But if it's a major issue and you keep putting a Band-Aid on it, likely you're going to have to come up with a major solution in order to solve that problem. So the key to problem solving is, does it only require a Band-Aid? And if so, that's great. And if it's a major problem, does it require a bigger kind of solution? And we should not be trying to put a big solution on a small problem or a small solution on a big problem. And I think also there's times that we don't have an answer to a problem. And when we don't have an answer to a problem, sometimes we have to step as far back from the problem as we can possibly get. It just depends on the problem. But sometimes we can make more of a mess out of something trying to solve it when we don't have the correct answer by implementing an incorrect answer. So, you know, a lot of problems are just simply not ours to solve, and some problems linger. You know, no matter what, sometimes there's not a 100% answer or solution at the time for a problem, and that problem can travel with us. Let's say that someone has a health issue and I'm using it as an example, and let's say it's a health issue that they can't do anything about, so they have to adapt to that issue. They have to adapt to that problem. And adaptation is a very important aspect of dealing with problems that you can't solve in the moment. Sometimes you have to adapt to a problem so that you can continue to live your best life and your happiness. And sometimes that problem will travel with a person for a period of time, or maybe for a lifetime. It just depends on what the problem is. Other problems, a solution comes in time, whereas other problems, we can come up with a solution pretty easy. So we have to know, is it a more permanent problem? And if it is, sometimes that will require adaptation so that we can continue living our best life. But we should not adapt to a problem that we can readily solve. Okay, this is my opinion. And also, I believe that a lot of problems are created by the people who have them. And, you know, a lot of problems are self-generated, and a lot of problems come from wrong decisions. So we can avoid a lot of problems by making right decisions. But when a problem enters our life that we had no way of bringing on ourselves, somehow it happened to us, then we have to come up with a solution or learn to adapt. And with problems that are bigger than us, greater than us, and that we have no solution, I also believe in living where we turn it over to God and we say, God, I'm going to let you handle this, and I'll adapt to it as long as I have to adapt to it until the permanent solution comes along. And I believe that often when we turn things over to God, often our answers do come through a miracle. But I believe that a lot of people just say, I'm going to pray about it and do nothing about it. And they have the answer at hand. They just don't want to do the work. And I don't believe it's God's responsibility to intervene and give us a miracle or whatever we're asking for God to do when we are able to do it ourselves. I truly believe that miracles are for when we can't do it. Sort of like if you were out in the middle of the ocean and there was no boats, no rescue boats, no helicopter, and no island around to swim to, and you had no direction which way to swim, nor could you swim that far, that's when you need a miracle. And so you begin to pray. You pray for that helicopter or that boat, or you hope and you pray. You need a miracle at that point. It's beyond your control. But if you see the shore and you're pretty close to shore and you refuse to swim to shore, and just say, God, give me a miracle, most likely you're going to drown. And so, I believe that miracles come when we turn it over, when it's bigger than us to solve. And those are my beliefs about problems. Let me put my glasses on here so that I can read a few more notes, and it may or may not be pertaining to problem solving, but I call these scribble notes, because many of them come to me in the middle of the night or early morning, and I write them down and I kind of scribble them before I transfer them over. Some of these notes come from when I'm out running or just going about my daily life. And let's see, one of the notes that I made is quit staring at your computer screen looking for something that you don't even know what you want to look for. Some people just get so fixated sitting behind the computer and they go from one thing to the other, kind of searching for something to entertain them. I believe in going to my computer for specific reasons, but not just to sit there and vegetate behind there looking for something to entertain me. I entertain myself. People with a bad attitude, we cannot make them have a good attitude. They have to do that themselves. Places link us to people and experiences as well as create memories. Our memories are always attached to a place. Okay. Approval seekers have lost their power over their lives. So when we're out there trying to seek approval from everyone, we're out there constantly approval seeking. Often what happens is we're giving our power away to other people because we need their approval before we feel worthy enough to do whatever it is that we want. And if they don't give us our approval, it puts us in a weakened state. We need to give our own selves the approval that we need. Let's see. People who don't like themselves are more apt to not like you. People who love themselves are more apt to love you. Sometimes there are people, and I'm one of them, that just organizes everything. And I'm not talking about organizing drawers. I do that too. But I'm talking about the plan, the party organizer. If it's a holiday, I'm the one that makes it all come together. And if it's a birthday, I'm the one that makes it all come together. And although I like doing that in most circumstances, I backed off a lot from doing that because I find that no one else does it. It's just all on me, and I end up doing all the work and exhausting myself. So now often I turn it over to other people and say, you know, you do what you want. If you want to have a party, we'll have a party, and just invite me and I'll show up, instead of me always being the one responsible for those parties or celebrations. Sometimes we have to let other people do it too. It is okay, in my opinion, to love the memory of who someone used to be, and it is okay not to love that person for who they are today. Some people do change, and some people don't change for the better, and it's permanent or it's long term. And I also say it is okay to not wait around for someone to change. Some people never change, and if you are just wasting your time waiting for them to change, and even if they change down the line, that's a whole period of time that we've given up waiting for them to change. Sometimes we don't always have to wait for people to change. You cannot build a healthy and happy relationship with someone who is constantly inconsistent and unpredictable in their personality. We have to have some degree of consistency and predictability in our relationships. And if someone's nasty one day and nice the next, that's not a healthy relationship. I always say get away from bitter and angry people. No matter who they are, you can't change them until they're ready to change themselves. That's their own issue, but you don't want it to become yours. Sometimes you have to adjust, adapt, and create a wonderful life even when an ongoing problem remains for the time being. We already talked about that, and that's just kind of one of my notes in here. I said some problems require major surgery, and if you're not a surgeon, you can't solve that problem. Sometimes we have to let someone else solve a problem for us or for someone else. When you can't make a problem go away, you learn to adapt to it. Know when a solution is out of your control, release it to God. Okay, I remember many years ago I wanted to go to college, and I didn't have the money, and I went and took the tests for it and everything like that, but I did not have the money to go. And so I went off looking for a job, but before that I sat down on the floor and I said, God, if you want me to go to college, you'll have to make a miracle happen, because I can't make it happen on my own. I did everything and nothing's working out. And so I turned it over to God. I released it over to God, and within a few days I got a call from the school, and they said, we'll not only pay for your books and tuition, we'll pay for your living expenses too. So that was a miracle, but it was beyond my control, and so that was when God intervened. God performs miracles in many different ways. We can still love who someone used to be, but not love who they are today. Sometimes we seek another person's energy to rub off on us, and we're not looking for solutions or wisdom or answers or to be taught anything. We're just looking for that energy. You know, some people have such a great energy about them, and sometimes we just want to be around that energy, so it rubs off on us. Well, this is all I'm going to talk about today, and so I hope you have enjoyed my wisdom notes for today. And like I said, I'm trying to make these wisdom sessions a little bit longer than 1 minute, and sometimes they go off on different topics, and I hope you enjoy them. And I would like to know what you think of the webcam, and if you like it, and if you think it is better than doing the 1 minute scripted. I'm sure I'll do the 1 minute scripted as well, and I kind of bounce back and forth as whatever my time allows me. And you know, I have a very busy schedule. So anyhow, love you all much. God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.